Do you worry about it, particularly in the current environment where there is so much drama between the West and China, that this is going to be one of those things that could prove to be divisive politically as well as very harmful to people
medically? I would
medically?
put it the other way around. It is an example of why countries need to work together. You may wish to be deglobalized, but the virus is not going to be deglobalized. And it's going to come to you, and this time it seems to have emerged somewhere in Wuhan in China. But next time it could be another place, unless you trust one another and you share data and share the genome sequences and share the public health. Where is this? Who is sick? Are people dying? Is it infectious? Are we coping, or is the system breaking down? Unless you can share that, we're going to have a big problem for mankind.
Not everyone will be as kind of calmly rational about it as you are, and many people will look at this as an opportunity to say, this is a reason to put brakes on immigration, brakes on travel.
Unless you're going to build a wall down.
Walls are in fashion.
Walls are in fashion, but viruses can leap over walls. I think it is very difficult.
In November, Donald Trump asked the 10 ASEAN leaders to the US for a special summit.
Yes, in March.
In March. And that is going ahead at the moment.
Yes, it is. I expect to be there. We are supposed to be meeting in Las Vegas on March the 14th for a serious purpose.
And the purpose being?
No, it is to meet the US president. And I'm sure we'll be discussing areas where we can cooperate and do more together, and I hope that Mr. Trump, amidst his many domestic preoccupations, will send a message that Asia is important to him and Southeast Asia has its part in the American scheme of things.
When you look at what's going on in Hong Kong, do you feel more on the side of the government or more on the side of the protesters?
I can understand the issues which lead people in Hong Kong to feel anxiety and frustration and disappointment at what the future holds for them. And furthermore, to have one country, two systems work properly and not come into friction with one another. That, I think, takes restraint and a lot of judgment and forbearance on both sides. So I can well understand why the protesters are upset, but I can't see how this path is going to lead to improvements in all these difficult problems. Ideally, at some point, as the temperature comes down and people cool down, it is possible for Hong Kong government to make progress on some of the basic issues which bug them. It's very hard. I mean, they have tried to, but they haven't succeeded. But if they don't make some progress, it's hard to see how one country, two system can work for another 28 years, 27 years.
So I was intrigued. Last year, you were worried you weren't going to grow, but in the end you did 0.7%.
In the end, we made 0.7%. It's positive, so we are relieved we didn't have a recession. We hope to do better. We have a chance to do better this year. The electronics cycle seems to be turning, which is an important part of our manufacturing industry. But it depends on the global economy and particularly on the US.
I saw for 2020 you have a prediction of 0.5% to 2.5% growth, which I know you love numbers, but that's a pretty wide,
yes, it
pretty
means
wide zone. You really don't know.
Exactly.
You know.
We really don't know. That's the range. That's the range of what our economy is capable of. But whether we realize that capability, that potential, depends on international conditions.
Do you see at the
and
moment
some of those are not economic issues. I mean, if there's a blow-up between China and America, or if there's something happening in the Middle East, either with Iran or because of Syria, well, then all bets are off.
Just on that, how do you think phase 2 of the US-China talks will affect Singapore? I mean, they've had this sort of first phase, which deals with a few
I think everybody
soybeans.
is relieved that you've at least stabilized the position for a while. And now you've got to go further. And there are serious issues which have to be discussed on both sides. And both sides have to make quite basic adjustments. On the one side, on the Americans, psychologically, you have to make up your mind. Are you doing this because you want to keep a level playing field and make sure the Chinese play according to the rules of the game and may the best man win? Or are you doing this because you want to keep on winning and whatever rules of the game are necessary, you will create those rules to make that
is,
outcome.
what is your instinct on that? Many people would look at the Trump administration and say that if Donald Trump stands for anything, it is America first, which by definition means
No,
America must finish first.
No, America first means you do the best for the United States. So do you do the best by prospering in a world where there are other countries who are doing well, or do you do your best by being a big country when in a troubled world? And I'm not sure that the second is a very good answer. On the Chinese side, I think they have to make up their minds that they are going to be constructive players in the global economy and in the global community of nations.